Hello. Is my mic plugged in? It looks like it is. I think everything's plugged in. Is Fred still here? Hello, sir. How are you? I'm going to read what you wrote and thank you for being here and commenting. Hola dropped Dexter at doggy daycare for a half day of play. I forgot your dog's name is Dexter. That's awesome, especially for somebody who is into true crime. That is so funny. Mondays are my day off at Menards. I work Tuesday through Saturday. Cool. Well, hopefully you're still here. That was a couple minutes ago. Do my little sound check, get things rolling. There is a lot to discuss. What a weekend. And I don't think I've been able to go live since Thursday. So I am chomping at the bit. I am so happy to be here. Let me ask you to make sure you're still subscribed if you are subscribed. And if you're not, please consider just subbing up. It does a lot for the channel. And turn on your notification bell to ring and share a video of mine with somebody that you think might like it. Thanks for being here, Fred. That is awesome. And I have my cursor. Woohoo! Party on. Man, I missed it. It had been missing for like a week or more. And I don't know what makes it come and go, but it just kind of does its own thing. All right. So, what else? Where's my thumb? My thumb. Where'd you go, thumb? Right here. I try to keep it nearby. Please hit your like button. I'll ask one more time. And what else? Everything I say is simply my opinion for the sake of hoping to start a conversation, open up a discussion, learn something, be educational. All my videos are made for YouTube. It's an infotainment platform. Man, it's kind of like the world's been blowing up in a sense. Let's hope that that doesn't actually happen. Keeping an eye on my pork chop in the oven. My big meal is lunch. Oh, that sounds delicious, Fred. That's smart to do your big meal in the middle of the day. That is awesome. Good for you. Some high protein. So I got up early this morning. I set up this live last night, and then I got up so early this morning that I was like, oh, should I go live an hour or two early? But instead I went to a yoga class. So I'm all exercised. I usually do my yoga at night, but I'm excited because I rode my bike to the yoga class, did the yoga, rode my bike home, and then I had to push the time back because it was a 9 o'clock yoga class. It wasn't over until 10, and then I didn't get home until close to almost 10:30. And then it takes me a little while to like pull my act together so that I can come on live. And I hate pushing the time back, but as you know, that's kind of my habit. So let's see. That thumbnail that I used, I might change just because it's so spooky. Fred, you've probably paid attention to the situation in Minnesota over the weekend, especially because it ain't too far from Illinois. So you probably know the good news that the mofo was caught yesterday. Even better news, in my opinion, is he was caught alive. And I was following the case fairly closely because it just cut right through my heart. Like immediately when I woke up on Saturday morning and saw the news of these people getting assassinated. So I was going to run down what I know of the story because I, of course, had to do a deep dive and gather as much information as I could. So I'll just do a quick thumbnail of what happened with that disgusting excuse for a human. His middle name just happens to be Luther. First name just happens to be Vance. So we'll just call him Vance Luther because I don't know. A really, really sick individual. And so what was it? About 2 a.m. on Saturday morning, he went to the senator's house. He, as we all know, he posed as a cop and gained access to the senator and his wife. He shot them both 17 times. There were 17 slugs in the two of them, and they survived. So the mom, her name is Yvette, she threw her body on her 22-year-old daughter that was visiting. And that daughter's name just happens to be Hope. And so this is Senator Hoffman. So Yvette, the wife, saved Hope from even getting a bullet. And then Yvette and Senator Hoffman have both recovered, thankfully. That was about 2 a.m. They haven't gone into great detail that I've seen yet about how probably Hope called 911. And so the police were able to get to the representative's house, and that's Melissa Hortman, I think is how you say her name. And Melissa Hortman and Mark Hortman, her husband, the police went over there kind of prophylactically just to like give them a warning and let them know, because they knew that this was a politically motivated assassination attempt. And so when they got there, there was the police officer. You guys probably have heard most of this. The man posing as a police officer coming out, and then they confronted him, realized he was not a police officer, and they exchanged gunfire at the front door of the representative's house, Representative Hortman. And then the suspect retreated into the house, escaped through the back of the house, leaving his car there. So that was excellent police work that they got there so quickly. Unfortunately, if they'd gotten there a couple of minutes earlier, they maybe could have saved the couple, but I don't think the couple had passed away yet. I think that they were able to attempt life-saving measures, and then they ultimately did pass away, probably at the hospital. But the suspect escaped through the back. He went back to his house. So he has or had a house in Minneapolis that he shared with his best friend since 4th grade and a few other guys. Really odd. And then he had a house in the suburbs with his wife, and he's the father of 5 kids. So I think I mentioned that the daughter that the senator's wife, Yvette, Hoffman, that daughter, Hope, her name is Hope. But this guy, the Vance Luther, has 5 kids. 3 of his daughters are named Hope, Faith, and Grace. The irony is insane. And then the coincidence of the girls having the same name, pretty wild. And then I don't know Melissa and Mark Hortman's 2 children's name. They have a daughter and a son. They look like they're in their probably in their 20s. And after the suspect stopped by his Minneapolis house, did I say Minnesota house? Minneapolis in Minnesota, obviously, sorry. Then he went on the run. He went on the lam. He was on the lam for a day and a half before about 20 SWAT teams closed in on him in a field. So he had gotten to another car that he owned after leaving the one car that he had disguised as a cop car at the scene of the crime where he assassinated the representative and her husband. Absolutely chilling. So, they've got a still shot of a surveillance image of him with a plastic mask over his head, and he just looks like yeah, it's a plastic mask, but he just looks soulless, absolutely soulless. And then the picture that has been circulating from when they arrested him, even without the plastic mask, he looks like the exact same, in my opinion. It's creepy AF. That's why I put the two photos side by side for my thumbnail. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. And it gets worse, of course. The people have to make it even. It's like, just when you think it can't get any worse, in comes MAGA hats, right? Trying to assert that he's a Democrat. So his roommate, his best friend since fourth grade, laughed at that and said he would be absolutely insulted if somebody called him a Democrat or thought he was a Democrat. And the roommate basically said it was politically motivated. And then there were, of course, things written in his car, like they always call it the manifestos. Also, his wife and other family members were arrested yesterday. They were pulled over in a car. And I'm just thinking, why did they not go to the police already? Like, what is wrong with them? If your loved one did something like that, wouldn't you go straight to the police, hoping that they could preserve the life of your loved one, that they could apprehend your loved one before they did something like self-unaliving or a shootout where they maybe they call it self-unaliving by cop if it's intentional, trying to make the law enforcement be the one to pull the trigger, so to speak, and literally and figuratively. So yeah, the wife and the family members, and I don't think they've said which family members, and I don't know how old their children are. So I'm thinking that maybe it was some of the kids that might be underage, which is why they're not saying who these family members are. Anyway, that's the gist of it. So they took him into custody sometime last night. I'm not really sure what time. And they were able to take him without incident. 20 SWAT teams. I guess he crawled to them. He was still armed when they got him. But, 20 SWAT teams closing in on him. Can you imagine? I am so grateful that he's still alive so that there can hopefully be some justice. And they have said definitively that he had help, that there were other parties involved. So it's still an active investigation. They're not able to share very much. But from my opinion, it looks like the authorities there did top-notch work, only to be criticized by freaking Donald Duck, let's just call the deer leader, because he is a freak of nature cartoon. He had his hideous, pathetic parade on Saturday. Fox News tried to trump it up and actually inserted crowd noise into their footage that wasn't there. It was so lacking in crowd noise that you could hear the squeaks of the tanks as they're going by. Like, there was no noise from the crowd. There was no crowd. They tried to say there was like 250,000 people there, and people that were actually there said no, it was more like maybe 10,000, which, in Washington, D.C., that's probably less people than are there on the Mall of America, just touring the museums, the Smithsonian, and all the monuments and things like that. But they had everything closed down. And then apparently there was millions of protesters nationwide at these No Kings events, and most of them remained peaceful. There was one fatality at Salt Lake City, and I don't know the details of that. It's absolutely terrible. And I don't want to say anything. Well, I'll say that I heard that it was actually somebody who was not supportive of the No Kings event, but they would have been more supportive of the parade, if you know what I mean. And so they were getting violent and they got unalived by a gun. And I don't know any more than that, but I just want to let you know what I do know, but that could be incorrect because it's just kind of a I've heard it more than once, but I've just heard it, on the interwebs, and you just never know. The information on the internet is so hit and miss, and we have so many fake news sources and so many trolls and so many bots and so many Russian trolls and bots. And then you've got Fox News that they had to pay $1 billion for lying to the public about things, but they're still lying to the public about things. It's just nuts. So I think that's all I want to say about that. If there's more, I'll insert it, but thought it was really wild that guy Vance Luther stopped by his house. That was very daring, and thank God the police were able to apprehend his car and identify who he was immediately and prevent him basically from being able to carry out his plans, because he had a list of many other Democrats that he was planning to go and assassinate. It's just unreal. And who knows if there was some kind of big conspiracy. It sounds like there was at least a little conspiracy with him and whoever helped him. So I found something out yesterday that blew my mind, Fred, if you're still here. Do you know who started Rumble? I had no idea. Peter Thiel, the billionaire who paid for JD Vance's Yale law degree, the guy who's like behind the Project 2025 stuff. Dan Bongino, or Bonholio, as Hal Sparks likes to call him. Those two, and Nutlick, Howard Lutnick, helped Rumble go public. So these three people that are essentially all part of Donald Duck's cabinet started Rumble. Interesting. There was a couple of other people too whose names I didn't recognize. I don't know if they're involved in Donald Duck's administration, but I would think that they might be. Chances are. I tried for a few minutes to find the parade with no luck. Maybe blocked it. LOL. Oh, you mean to find the military parade to watch it? Man, so essentially the takeaway was that it was a very small crowd, which, we all know how obsessed Trumpster Fire is with crowd sizes and sizes of other things, right? Oh, it's insane. It's absolutely insane. And that takes me over to Gavin Newsom. Okay, we'll get there in a second. The thing about the parade is that the soldiers were very lackluster in their marching. It was like some of the worst marching. And I guess word on the street is that that's what soldiers do when they're upset, is that they don't march well. Plus, it takes a long time to get your marching orders and then to practice and to rehearse. It doesn't just automatically happen. They have to get out there and practice for days and days and days in order to get a good choreography and coordination. I mean, it's hard work. So they didn't have practice time. It doesn't seem like. If they did, it wasn't very much. And then it also seems like they were rebelling by not basically by kind of slouching and slacking. So I thought that was interesting. And just how sad, it's their 250th anniversary. It's supposed to be their celebration, but we all know it was the giant man baby toddler's birthday celebration party for himself. And they did not salute either. Thank you, Fred. So did you know, I've been filling in my audience with a lot of information about Gavin Newsom and Donnie and Gavin Newsom's ex-wife, who allegedly slept with Donnie when she was engaged to Don Jr. It's all alleged. And what I didn't know, I learned more about Kimberly Guilfoyle, I think is how you say her name. And I did not know that she would brag that her husband was very well hung. She also would brag about other men that she slept with when she wasn't married, when she had employees of her own that had to sue her for sexual harassment. So she had to pay one female employee $4 million in a settlement for sexual harassment. I guess she would like show dick pics of her boyfriend's packages, and she would also hang out naked and make her assistants have to look at her. And yeah, she was a very, very attractive woman back in her day when she was married to Newsom. And they were married, I think, from about 2001 to 2006. And so he's like 6'3", and apparently has a package that could compete with Arnie Palmer, right? And we all know that that's not the case with Donald Duck. So it brings me to this whole thing with Donnie and his grinding. He's got an axe to grind with Newsom. I mean, he's been having a pissing contest with him. All of this mayhem in Los Angeles, going back a few months to the fires in the Palisades. I never really suspected government conspiracy with those fires in the Palisades, but there were some comments that Donnie has made these last few days that make me suspect something like that. I mean, because the Palisades is such a weird place to burn. It's not rural, and those fires happen in rural areas. The Palisades is much more urban. But also, it just dawned on me a couple days ago. I can't remember if I said it in my video on Thursday or if it dawned on me after that. That I think it dawned on me during my video on Thursday, Fred, that Gavin Newsom, being the governor of California and 6'3" and handsome, and having his sights on potentially running for the presidency one day, all of that is a lot like Ronald Reagan. So Ronald Reagan was the governor of California when he became president. He was also very tall and good looking by many people's standards, not mine. And Ronald Reagan's house was in Pacific Palisades. Sorry. I don't know what that was. It wasn't my water bottle. Oh, it was a light. Sorry. The light fell. No big deal. Anyway, Ronald Reagan's house was in Pacific Palisades, and I think it's been a museum since for a good long time. And I don't think it burned in the Palisades fires, but I think that the fires got really close to burning the house that he lived in. So it's just interesting that Gavin, being the governor of California, I think is even more of a threat to Donnie, not only because they might have shared a chick, but also because if Gavin were to become a president of our country, he would be really walking in Ronnie Reagan's shoes. I like to call him Ronnie Reagan. Ronald Reagan's shoes, being from California and being the governor, basically. So we all know that Donnie likes to, I don't know, kind of be like uh, the next Ronald Reagan. I mean, he compares himself to Ronald Reagan probably more than any other president. So I just think he's very threatened by Gavin Newsom. I think that that has everything to do with the whole trying to take down and control Los Angeles. And it's my understanding that even though a court ordered the military to go away, to retreat by, was it Saturday at noon, or no, it was Friday at noon. But I don't think that they've retreated. I don't think that they've retreated. I think they're still there. And it seems that Donnie is trying to basically rough up some other liberal cities across the country and on the West Coast, like Seattle. I can't remember the other specific cities, but there were like 5 of them. So I thought that was really crazy. So, you know, he's been essentially fraudulently accusing protesters of rioting so that he could deploy the military, but he's still illegally deploying the military. Well, first of all, it's illegal for him to be fraudulent in his accusations, but also in the event that the military needed deploying, of course, we all know that the governor would take care of that, or that they would work together at the very least. So I think it's really important to never lose sight of the Epstein files, because I think that all of this shenanigans, like the military and the alleged riots in Los Angeles, are simply a distraction from any follow up on the Epstein file post that Elon Musk made about Trump being in the Epstein files, and also his other post about how he won the election for Trump. So it seems that more channels, and some that are really big, so almost getting into the mainstream, are starting to talk about election fraud. I have a feeling that that's where it's going, even in mainstream. Primarily because of that one county in New York. I think it's called Rockland County. And I was talking about them last week. A couple of weeks ago, there was a court case that put out all the evidence that this county that essentially votes like 78% Democrat, that in at least one of the precincts, there was not a single vote for Kamala Harris. Although there was the 78% Democratic votes across the ticket, but they all voted for Donnie, right? Seems pretty unlikely, in my humble conspiracy theory opinion, and apparently to the judge too. So with that lawsuit, they've launched a full investigation into Rockland County. And then you've heard me talk again and again about the Election Truth Alliance and all the good work that those people are doing, and that there's a couple of other groups of statisticians that are also reviewing what appears to be extremely suspicious election results. Hello, Mrs. Amir. Look, I've got my thing so I can highlight you. How are you, dear? How's your day going? So we've also had a lot of violence with the wars. So it can't be underscored. And I know that I've said it but I don't know. I don't think I've said it enough that apparently Epstein sold arms to Israel. And also, Ghislaine Maxwell's father, Robert Maxwell, sold arms to Israel. So this whole can of worms is just crazy, 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 crazy. Also, interesting tidbit that I learned the day before yesterday, I think. Ghislaine Maxwell has twin sisters that started Magellan. Do you guys remember Magellan? It was like the original server with the internet. I remember it barely. It's sort of like AOL and Yahoo and Hotmail. It's like it goes way back to AOL, so like the 90s. So it's really interesting that all of these people involved with the high tech and basically like the billionaires club, that they are also tied to Israel and helping arm Israel. So Epstein and Robert Maxwell did that. And then they had their Russian ties too. Oh, I wanted to let you guys know that in Ohio, where I am, my doctor's office, and they're in a hospital, my primary care physician, they're like the private practice wing of a major hospital in the area. And the major hospital in the area is Kettering Network. All of the hospitals in this area are Kettering Network, and their entire system was down, crashed, dark last week. Their entire system. So I thought, oh, okay, the hospital's having a glitch in their system, right? And then I had to call auto insurance to ask a question a few days ago. And this was Erie Auto Insurance. I think it's in Pennsylvania. It might be in Michigan. It's not in Ohio. But Erie Auto Insurance, their system was also out, dark, frozen, locked up. I think that both, and had been for days, and they said that they would call me back once they could look into the information and answer my question, and I have not gotten a call back from them. So I'm curious if you guys know of other institutions that are having problems with their internet, with their systems. And I'm wondering if there's like ransomware with the hospital and with the insurance. And I'm wondering if it might even tie into anything, oh, I don't know, with Doge and all of their thievery of all of our information. Just a question. I don't know. But I thought it was really wild. I didn't think that much of the hospital problem because that happens sometimes in the hospital. Not often, and it usually doesn't last long, but I don't know if it's still going on with either of them or not, but that was last week. I also wanted to say that in the event, those comments that Elon made about the Epstein files and the posts that he made a couple weeks ago, and the one about the election, if either of those were not true and accurate, wouldn't Donald Duck have filed lawsuits against him already? This is why I really think that Elon has the upper hand in their little pissing contest, as it were. So I've been listening to Kirby Summers, who is one of Epstein's victims, who has her own YouTube channel. She has written books. She wrote a book about Les Wex. We'll just call him Les Wex. Leslie, you know, the guy that is kind of was kind of a mentor to Jeffrey. So I'm really curious to read her book, but she talks about a lot of people and a lot of things that she knows firsthand from her own life experience, allegedly. And it's pretty wild stuff, but it seems to me that she's credible, in my opinion. She said that there's a Jane Doe who filed a lawsuit against our dear leader alleging child R when she was 13 years old with Jeffrey and Donnie when she was 13 years old. And she filed this lawsuit in 2015, and she dropped this lawsuit in 2016 because she was scared. She was getting threatened. And I think it's important to say here that Virginia Giuffre had been threatened a lot. Let's just leave it there. Oh my goodness. Let's talk about Kristi Noem. Kristi Noem allegedly has had a long-term affair with one of Trumpster Fire's advisors, there's a lot written about this. This guy's name is Corey Ludonsky. He became Christie's advisor in 2019, and allegedly they've been having an affair potentially since then. They're both married with kids. But this Trump advisor, this long-term Trumpster Fire advisor, Corey Ludonsky, was in the hallway when John Padilla was thrown to the ground and cuffed last week, at the end of last week, when he's a California senator who is brown, and he wanted to ask Kristi Noem a question in her she was doing like a presser, and he identified himself as John Padilla, as a senator, and he was cuffed, thrown to the ground, and they said that they didn't recognize him and that they didn't know who he was and that he didn't state who he was. And then we've all seen the tape of him stating his name and his title up front. And then even more interesting is that Kristi Noem's alleged boyfriend, Corey Ludonsky, was standing in the hallway, and he knows John Padilla. So they knew exactly who he was, and that was just freaking street theater. Which is what they do constantly, and then they try to gaslight and accuse Democrats of that exact thing. It's just crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Have you guys heard of transhumanists? I'd never had heard that phrase. Being a transhumanist is sort of like believing an afterlife that involves like high tech and maybe other planets, maybe like going to Mars, maybe like putting your brain in a jar or freezing it so that then with the evolution of science and technology, you can be brought back to life someday. So apparently Jeffrey Epstein was a transhumanist. And Stephen Miller, that guy. also allegedly a transhumanist. And apparently a lot of these characters are. Like, we know that the Big E has this whole thing with Mars. That's kind of a transhumanist kind of thing. It's also kind of a cultist type of thing, interestingly enough. Let's see. And I need to look into it more. Stephen Miller is just atrocious. He's such a monster. I did get some photographs of him and Squidward side by side, so I'll put those in a community post and or in a thumbnail. It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. Let me see what else I have here in my notes to share with you guys. That might be kind of most of it right there. I think it is. Oh, my brain needs a rest. We're only at 40 minutes, but let's see what else you guys are saying. Fred, my online bank Zelle function was down an hour or so on Friday. Wow. See, it's really frightening. Again, I think that Donnie is desperate for distractions, that he's just going to keep ramping things up to try to prevent people from going back to those comments that the Big E posted. I don't know. The election fraud is much bigger, in my opinion, but those kinds of sexcapades, those kind of scandalous and dealing with underage, that's really bad. I mean, it was bad enough when it was somebody like Stormy Daniels who was of age and worked in the sex industry. So some people don't think that someone who works in the sex industry could be violated, because they think that they get violated all the time. So what's the big deal? Like in that movie Pretty Woman. Remember the actor who played George Costanza? I'm forgetting his name in real life, but George Costanza from Seinfeld. He was playing Richard Gere's friend who tried to essay the character played by Julia Roberts. And that's typical, that women that work in that trade, if you want to call it that they get assaulted by law enforcement. They get assaulted by people that pose as clients but then don't pay. They get beat up. It's hideous. So going back to Stormy Daniels, a lot of people wouldn't think that that's such a big deal because she's a porn star, right? And she was of age. But to me, the biggest deal of it is that Melania had just had little Baron, I don't even think a year before that incident, which is just really sad, really, really sad. And then to have all of that brought up and dragged for years, that's got to be rough. I mean, not that I have that much compassion for Melania. She seems pretty sinister, in my opinion. I don't know. I mean, for all we know, she's trafficked too. It sounds like Ghislaine and Jeffrey were instrumental in connecting her to Trumpster Fire. And so maybe that was just that they made the introduction, but there's a lot of people who speculate that she might be some kind of mail order bride, which seems pretty likely. I mean, she's a little too good looking, even for Donnie, even for super hot Donnie. I mean, not that Ivana and Marla Maples weren't extremely good looking too, but he is aging and not well, let's just say. So there's been a lot of speculation about his health. There's been a lot of speculation about his cognitive decline. And I think we're going to continue to see more of that. He's 79. He's under a lot of stress, a lot of pressure, trying to prevent the Epstein file scandal, trying to prevent the election scandal. Again, if either of those things weren't true, I think he would have already filed lawsuits against Elon, because he is litigation happy and he likes to sue everybody all the time. And Elon's got all the money in the world, so he could sue him for $1 trillion, right? And get a $500 billion settlement. I don't know. Anyway, it is pretty crazy how the politics and the true crime are pretty much one and the same. Like, you can't have one without the other. I don't know. It's heinous. It's absolutely heinous. But what else should we talk about? Where's the puppy dog? Should I grab the puppy dog to cheer us all up before I sign off? Maybe we'll keep this one kind of short, unless there's more stuff you guys want to talk about. I had so much material, I thought it was going to take me twice that long to get through it all. But I guess not a lot of comments today, so I'm able to power through it. But yeah, I'm very interested in your online bank being down for an hour or so on Friday, because I want to say Friday or Thursday was probably when I called the insurance company. I should call the insurance company back, and I should call the doctor's office back too and see if their systems are back up and running. But I'm wondering if they were being held with, the ransomware stuff, right? Let's see if I can find that cute little puppy dog of mine. Hey, Chi. Okay. Chi. Go on and grab him. They are outside, so we will get them in, and then you guys can see their cuteness before we sign off. I hope you guys have a really great day. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you so much. And you both hit the like button. We're 100%. That's awesome. Much appreciation. Come here, babies. Come here, Mookie. Come here, Chi. Come here, Chi. Come here. Come here. Come here, cutie pie. Come here. Oh, you're such a teddy bear. There's the teddy bear. Thanks. If Mookie wants to come in, Coco is going to come in. Yeah. Do my little puppy cam. Say something, Chi. Say something. Ruff, ruff. Oh, she's so cute. She's my little sidekick. Oh, here, watch out for the mic. There's my baby. She is such a cutie. She's such a snuggler. Look at this baby. She's getting more trustworthy. Last night was the first time she slept not in her crate, and I don't think she went to the bathroom in the house. So that's exciting, because she loves to cuddle. She gets really sad when you put her in her crate and she cries, and it just breaks my heart. The sure are mashed in Truckee. Huh? The sure are meshed in Truckee. Is that for sure? The the billionaires in Truckee, man, how many are there? There's got to be a lot of billionaires in the Tahoe area. And probably most of the world's billionaires visit there at least once a year, I would bet. I mean, that place gets a lot of visitors and it's very um, fashionable to go to Tahoe. Plus, it's fun. I mean, if you ski or snowboard or anything like that, I mean, it is a lot of fun. That are meshed in Truckee. Yeah. I'm still just so blown away from when Shan found that 33 plus $1 billion contract. Oh, wait. Oh, no. Oh, get out. She went to the bathroom. See, I jinxed it by saying that. And I gotta go. I gotta get it cleaned up. That's terrible. And she had been outside for so long and it's not even wet out there. Like if it's raining, she might not go to the bathroom outside, but she had been outside. She had just been brought. Oh, puppy love. Puppy love. So I'm gonna log off and clean up. We've got this stuff. What is it called? It's called My Pet Peed, and it's like a enzyme, and it works really well. So you just like soak up the wet, and then you spray it to get it soaking wet, and it completely neutralizes the odor. It's amazing. Wealth, politics, and power. They are meshed in Truckee. Um, are you having fat thumbs? Yeah, watch out. I'll get it. Yeah, thanks. um, let's see. I don't know what WEAT is. Oh, you were probably trying to type out wealth and hit send or by accident before you were done. Okay, I got it, Fred. I'm putting it all together. They are meshed in Truckee, wealth, politics, power. Well, and the thing with the internet and with high tech and with YouTube and with the people that are involved in the misadventure, shall we call it, of Kylie Rodney and her demise. And there was one other thing I wanted to mention to you guys. Didn't even have it in my notes. See, that's why I got to put stuff in my notes because I always think, oh, I'll remember that. And then if it's not in there, I very well might not. Um, anyway, the wealth, the politics, and the power being meshed in Truckee, and the people involved in the Kylie Rodney cover up and their involvement in this platform and other platforms like it, right? I mean, we got Z, the guy who went boots on the ground, that billionaire, the one that was like up on the stage with all the other billionaires at the inauguration this past January. And then all of the record of Z being boots on the ground, even though he like registered himself in on the Cal Topo map and everything, all of that is gone. All the record of him being there is gone. And then the thing that I wanted to mention that I thought, well, I'll remember that. I don't need to write it down. Is that in Dallas, Texas, on No King's Day with the peaceful protests, there was a group of handmaids. Did you guys see that on the news? Maybe I'll put that in my thumbnail with that other disgusting photos that I already have in there of the assassin. Um, the handmaids, like, I was very grateful that they dressed up like handmaids and they were walking together like handmaids,
like soldiers, like military. And I think that's brilliant. I don't think that that can be underscored with this whole Project 2025 thing, and trying to sweep all of the douchebag dudes violating women and children, all of that getting whitewashed and swept under the rug and covered up. To me, it's all very tied together. It's hideous. It's absolutely heinous. So I do still have some of my allergies. Oh, I was going to catch you guys up on my diagnosis because I'm doing so much better, as you can probably tell, which is why one of the reasons why I hadn't gone live on Friday or Saturday or yesterday. There were lots of reasons, but the not feeling so hot was the main one. Um, so I'm getting better. And I didn't take my allergy medication for a couple of days, the Sudafed, because I just try not to take it, but then I sound all stuffy, so I should probably take it. And and yeah, all that gastrointestinal issue, I think, is resolved. But knock on wood, right? Don't want to jinx it like I did the puppy and getting potty trained. It's hard to type with plate on lap. LOL, isn't it? I know, it's hilarious when we're like trying to participate in the chat and we don't have both hands. I do that to myself a lot too, where I'll be like typing with one hand. So I had it on live chat, but then it reverted back to top chat. So now I have it on live chat again. Hopefully I didn't miss any of your comments. So yeah, the man, having our health is so vital, is it not, Mr. Fred? How's your health? I know you go up and down a little bit with things, but you take very good care of yourself. And Miss Amir, if you're still here, I know you've got your little baby. Your little baby is like 3. Is that right? Because yeah, I think he was born right before or right around the same time I started my channel. He's like 2.5, right? Because I'm coming up on 3 years of my channel. And let's see, my grandson is going to be here at the end of the week, so that's another reason that I wasn't able to go live the last 3 days, is I've been trying to get their room together. So we're going to have my son and his wife, and the baby will be here for over 2 weeks. So I'll probably be able to, if it's okay with them, I might be able to show you the baby. I'm so excited to see him. I mean, I see him a lot, but only on the the Zoom. I haven't seen him in person yet. And he's like almost 3 months old. He'll be 3 months old during the time that he's here. Vein closure procedure in one leg next week. Oh, have you had that before? It sounds like you have, or otherwise you'd probably be nervous about it, right? I don't know what that's like. Is that like for varicose veins? Because, yeah, being on your feet with your work for Menards, that might be an issue, huh? A lot of people suffer from varicose veins. But good luck with that. I hope it goes well. I hope that the healing process is speedy recovery. So it's not like a surgery, it's just a procedure. But yeah, we just have to be so careful, things can just go awry, right? Like my whole thing, just simply from allergies. Crazy. And that had happened, I think, in the fall that allergies hit really hard. I mentioned the Miami Valley that is in Ohio is one of the worst areas in our country for allergies. And I've never had much problem with allergies until this year. I mean, I've had a little bit of problems with allergies over the years. Allergies ebb and flow. Like, I used to think that it was like you either had allergies or you didn't have allergies. But then I never had them my whole life, and then I had them when I was 30, so I learned about them. They go up and down. It could be stress related, it can be just exposure related, and this year the allergies are really bad. It's not just me, but I just gotta be so careful and stay on top of everything. So good luck with your procedure next week, Mr. Field, and thanks again. Not had before, veins not varicose, poor circulation. Ooh, yeah, got to keep the circulation going, huh? Absolutely. Well, I'm glad that you're getting it taken care of. And yeah, our healthcare system is crazy, is it not? With you probably have good health insurance with maybe with your retirement and with Menards. You probably have like you're probably doubled up on your health insurance, so maybe you don't have any copays because I have really good health insurance and I have terrible copays. Absolutely terrible. I don't I don't understand how you can have good health insurance and then still have mass payments that you have to make. It's crazy, is it not? And I don't like to complain because so many people don't have health insurance or don't have good health insurance. It's just nuts. But hopefully you have two kinds because if you have two, it usually takes care of everything. And then you don't have to deal with any of that noise, any of those payments. It's such a drain. Such a drain. And then these freaking billionaires that want all of the money from all of Medicare, Medicaid. It's so sick. It's so sick. They literally steal money, steal food from babies' mouths, and they don't care. They absolutely don't care. I never retired, had no health care until Medicare and Supplement Blue Cross. Oh, okay. So you didn't retire, then come out of retirement. You've just been working straight through. But yeah, we all get the Medicare when we turn 65, I think. And then if it's really good to have supplemental insurance too. So that's awesome. So you probably have zero copays if you want to comment about that. I hope that you have zero copays. That's awesome if you do. Um, yeah, I'll give you a second to respond and then I'll sign off. I hope you guys have a great day. And again, thanks for carrying my chat, Mr. Field. You're awesome. Much appreciation. And just got to keep on keeping on, right? Keep doing your thing and do what makes you happy. Stay healthy. Drink your water. Eat your protein. Eat your pork chops. And your fruits and veggies, and get fresh air and sunshine and lots of good rest. Usually $20 for normal stuff. This procedure is $350 per leg. That stinks. I mean, it probably is a humongous savings, but still with two things covering, I would hope for even better. Like, I mean, $20 copay is pretty good. 350 is pretty good if it's like a five or $10,000 procedure. But I still think it could be better. I think our system is ridiculous. I think something needs to be done about that. But who knew that healthcare was hard and complicated? Remember those infamous words from Dear Donnie in his first administration? $3,000 without insurance per leg. Well, see, I think they should be able to do you much better than 350. So do you do both legs at the same time or one leg and then the other? Oh, one leg next week. I'm going back and reading your comment from earlier. So then you give yourself some downtime probably before doing the other one. I haven't said anything. I'm going to go see an orthodontist in about a month, and I'm probably going to get braces. Did I say anything about that for this little gap that's right here? I don't know if it's that noticeable, but it's been getting bigger. And so my dentist and my physician are concerned that it's going to like throw my bite off and my everything. So I'm probably gonna get braces, and I don't even think they're gonna be the Invisalign. I think I might be doing the metal thing. But if it's just on the bottom, it probably won't be that noticeable. But I don't know. I'll have my consultation next month and find out if they want to do metal, if they want to do Invisalign, and if they want to do bottom and top. Because now that I'm thinking about it, if they do the bottom, they probably need to do the top to make sure that it all matches up, right? Oh no. I'm going to be looking like a tween. Oh well. Um all right, love and light. Have a really good rest of your day, and hopefully I'll be able to come on live every day this week if all goes as planned, and hopefully I'll have my cursor all a week too. Fingers crossed. Thanks again for being here.